But then the real significant event that took place that literally marked or initiated, defined that moment of my spiritual path, was through meditation of gazing at a candle every night in my bedroom that was next to my mum and dad's bedroom. And after about a few months of this meditation, I would always close my eyes. I would see the light inside the forehead, but on this particular night, the light kept on filling my head. It got more and more intense until finally it started to fill my whole body. And then at a certain point, my bodily form disappeared, it dissolved, and there was simply the awareness of me as consciousness in this formless light. And there was a tremendous bliss beyond even physical bliss that came with that. And a sense as if I was about to disappear forever. And a part of me wanted to, in that sense, you know, just to completely dissolve. But there was like some indication from an intelligence that indicated it's not time. So then I had to remember how to breathe again, because there was no breathing happening. There's no sense of heartbeat. So I had to, and no movement of my body. So I had to remember and get my hands moving again. Then I came back into wakefulness. Then I lie down and just said, "Good night, world," and went back to sleep. And so that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the beginning, so to speak.
Gosh. So you had a huge flooding of spiritual energy. And I mean, I know of some people who that actually is too much for them.
It is. Is an extraordinary flooding of the whole body. All the cells went through what you would call a translation. A translation that moment. Obviously, I must have been prepared to some degree for it. The car accident itself obviously was quite an initiation for that. And it was a time, I would say, that brought me to that space of stillness. And a sense of very, very deep peace in that moment. Because I recognized that very saying that I think might be in the Bible also, when thine two eyes become one, thy body will be filled with light. And that's exactly what happened. So in the recognition of that, there was simply an awareness that, the light that's within me, this is it. And it's not within me, I am this light also.
And do you remember anything of the car accident or the state of consciousness that you had immediately after that?
Well, there's still to this day, there is no memory of that car accident, of even hitting another car. It's completely blanked out. But what I remember was that as I was waking to, all of a sudden it was night time. And it wasn't night time before that accident. Apparently I was unconscious for approximately 2 hours. As I'm waking up, I'm then looking down towards my shirt, and there's blood all over me. Then I look up, and there are night lights beaming into the car, and then ambulance drivers and police officers are pulling me out of the car. And I was fluctuating in and out of consciousness, coming to every so often, and then as they were lying me on the stretcher, I remember looking up at them and voicing something to the effect that I love everybody. And I wanted to ask them, how's the driver, how are my friends? And then I started to say to them basically that this is what the world needs. The world needs to know peace. It needs to know love. And as I was talking about this, I remember them looking down at me, and they were chuckling a little bit and smiling and saying things to kind of console me. But in that moment, I didn't need any sort of consolation. And I do remember as I was gazing around, there was like a soft, golden, hazy light everywhere. And that was very, very significant, because somehow there was some sort of a, what you'd call it, a spiritual or a cosmic intelligence within that soft, golden, hazy light. Or it was actually alerting me to the fact that there was an intelligence behind all of this, even the accident. There was no sense of pain I was aware of. There was no sense of worry about my own condition. But there was definitely a complete, like, inside-out shift of my nature had happened. So.
Before you were 19, before the car accident, did you have any spiritual inclinations in your life?
Our father, not who art in heaven, but our father, our dad, he was a police officer and a prosecutor in the courts, very high-level detective. But at the same time, he was very quietly taking us on a regular basis to the VSU, which is the Victorian Spiritual Union, where there's a lot of psychic development taking place, mediumship development, communication with what do you call higher dimensional levels of intelligence, with the masters from Venus, things like this, and psychic healing, magnetic healing taking place, and the whole family loved it. So we grew up amongst that. But I would say that it actually still goes back to the very beginning of me going to school, where I noticed the very first day that I was going into the classroom, I looked into the door, looked into all the other kids, and I felt like there's something not right here. I could feel, I could sense intuitively that the vibration about me going into that classroom just didn't feel right. Maybe it was because it was too early for me, or maybe it's because somehow it felt like I don't resonate with these kids. So the very first day that we came out for a break, where you're given a little bottle of milk to drink, everyone's got a little bottle of milk, and I'm listening to the other boys, and they're rough as guts, the way they're talking to one another, and the way they're teasing the girls. And I couldn't comprehend that. And I look at, this is the first time looking at all these little girls in this sense, and I'm seeing the beauty of them, the sensitivity of them, and these boys are just teasing them and making fun of them. So, and I recognized from that point onwards, I was very different. So all throughout primary school and high school, I never experienced a fight with any other boy. I had other boys trying to provoke me. They wanted to see if I could fight, if I would fight them, even friends for that matter. But all I would do was just look at them and just look into their eyes. And it's like my heart was showing them, hey, this is who I am. I'm your friend. I love you. And so I would say to them, I don't want to hurt you. And I don't want to be hurt by you. So they'd hit me across the head or punch me in the stomach, and I'd just keep on gazing into their eyes. I wouldn't feel any pain for some reason. I just keep looking. And then they look at me and they just walk off and go, you're crazy. But this is 10, 11 years of age. And then 13, then 16 in school. This sort of thing's happening. So I knew, it was like, no, I've got a different nature. A natural peacefulness. Even when playing football, and I was an athlete, I'd have the other team elbowing me, trying to punch me, to knock me over, and I'd just look at them and keep running for the ball. It didn't make sense. Compute, why are they doing that? It's not about hurting one another, it's about going for the ball and the competition of that, playing for that, the thrill of that. I would take the punches, but I wouldn't retaliate. It wasn't within my nature to do so. So I knew, as you can see, I had a different nature. That was already there. And my mother did say, in actual fact, even from 2 years of age, I was the only child amongst 4 kids that she could leave in a corner alone, and I wouldn't be crying out for her. I'd be sitting very peaceful, sitting there. I could play with things. She knew I was content. I was okay.
Shivallah, after your car accident and experiences of conducting so much energy, when did you begin to engage in a formal spiritual discipline?
21 years of age, I went back to the Victorian Spiritual Union and asked if I could participate in a mediumship psychic development course, which was one night a week for one whole year. We would sit in circle, approximately 12, 13, 14, 15 people, and we had a teacher guiding us, how to open up the third eye, how to become more sensitive to meditation, how to be listening to the heart, and if you had the capacity for mediumship, how to be open to that. And so that was a very strong discipline.